We're also going to touch on Toli and Raj, our favorite founders, ringing the closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange. GM and welcome to Sol Brothers, Solana's finest podcast, together with my friend Eno and myself, Simon, where it is our job to throw you into the Solana rabbit hole and show you around in our exciting ecosystem.
Our mission is to take you on the latest and greatest so that you never run out of fun things to talk about. Simon, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing all right. Woke up to a few red candles, so we definitely have to talk about that because the Simon support line has been broken. So that is definitely part of the major news, and I know the look on your face just told me that you didn't know that. So yeah. It is happening. We're going to talk about that, today, but we do have a packed agenda. We are going to discuss the state of Solana Q3 2025, a latest report that came in with a lot of bullish news about Solana. So that should be good for price in the long term. We're going to talk about Solana's X402 virtual hackathon with over $100,000 in prize money, a new product from PumpFun, or is it just a new premise? Let's say it's called Spotlight, and it's a new era for internet capital markets. We're also going to touch on Toli and Raj, our favorite founders, ringing the closing bell at the New York Stock Exchange. And we're going to look at a visualization of the history of Solana by ANZA and how that looks like and what that tells us, as well as some Soulflare, SNS, and Flash trade news. So that's on the agenda for today. Are you ready? How are you doing today? Are you're pumped for another EP?
Very pumped. I see that you're back from Serbia in the crib. I am also in the crib, and I think good way to explain our respective climates is this comment from our friend PM, which says, "Simon in a tight t-shirt, Eno in a puffer." That is correct. It's currently 1 degree Celsius over in Korea. I am not loving this weather. This weather fucking sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is getting chilly here as well, but I do like it. Like I am, as long as the sun is shining. So if it's bright outside, if the sun is up, I like it. It's fairly cold today, but I'm very hot. Just got back from gym as usual. So, but
Yes.
rocking my .sol shirt, nevertheless.
Well, should we go into the coziest part of the podcast where we go into Simon's technical analysis and we talk about all the things that you need to know about the charts. And Simon, I'm getting a little scared. You just told me that we breached the very holy SSL. We've tested the line 5 different times and it seems like it's been breached. What's going on, Simon?
Yeah, it's not that cozy today, It hasn't been extra cozy in the past weeks, hasn't it? We're looking at a long-term chart of Solana right now. I pulled up the weekly chart where we have the Bollinger Bands as well as the 50-week simple moving average on the chart in the yellow line in the middle, which has been on the Solana chart as well. It has provided a bit of support throughout 2024 last year. We've broken below it in the beginning of 2025 when prices started to tumble a little bit. And then we recovered up again. And now we are, I still can't believe we had $90 Solana in 2025. It's like, it kind of feels weird, right? Anyway, we've been there. And since then, we went up again in this beautiful, upwards trend. But the trend, is right now, it's not broken, right? Like we still have higher highs here and higher lows all the time. But there's a few let's say, alarms that are going off right now. One is that obviously the support line here is right now being tested heavily, right? We're not. We've seen multiple weekly closes below that line right now. Anyway, the 50-week simple moving average on the Solana chart is not that important. What is important and much more reliable was the 50-week simple moving average on the Bitcoin chart. That has really been provided like really significant support here, more than Solana in my opinion. And as long as we don't see at least 2 weekly closes below that line here, which is right now sitting at around $100,000, I would say. $100,000. So as long as this does, like the weekly candle is not closing below that line once, maybe twice, and worst case 3 times, then we can actually talk about the top is in. Like it is a scenario right now that we need to consider, because the longer we stay in this sideways movement right now with Bitcoin, but also especially with alts, since they have been underperforming this cycle anyways all the time. As long as we're staying in this kind of sideways downwards movement here, the less likely it gets that we'll see another high, right? We need to keep that in mind, because if another high would occur, I would expect it to be soonish, this month, next month, because the Fed has cut interest rates this month or last month in October, sorry. The Fed is gonna maybe cut interest rates again in December. They have hinted at it. They haven't. They've pulled back a little bit on that conviction during the FOMC, and I think reason for that is also that due to the government shutdown, they don't have the employment data, the job data that they need to make good decisions, right, for fiscal policy. So as soon as that data is going to be released, we have more certainty regarding rate cuts. But what's going to happen is quantitative tightening is going to stop. So that means there is a pathway again for the money printer. And you know what happened when the money printer was on last time? Well, we popped. It is global liquidity going up in a straight line. So I think that is something to keep in mind, which could be accelerating markets again. But we need to see something happening here on the charts, because right now, if we're zooming in on the Solana chart here, let's take the 4-hour chart and stay with this one today. I see two pathways here, and I think the upwards pathway. So we have green and red on my chart right now. Okay, we dropped a lot here in this 10th of October, 10th of October drop, and since then we've been going sideways, right? And now the question is, are we going up or down? We have a green pathway in those circles here, which was a wave 1 to the upside, a wave 2 to the downside, that is right now being retested. Basically, this second wave here, we could probably pull that over here now. And then we are in a wave, we're expecting a wave 3 to the upside from there, 4 and 5, right? That third wave could currently bring us into the target range between 210 and 240 dollars-ish, right? That is based on FIB level extensions for that third wave based on this 1-2 setup. Now, this is kind of last chance, because I think if we're dropping, like right now we're sitting at this 0.786 FIB level here. We already broke below it briefly. If we're not turning around right here at US market open, right, today, if the market is going to decide when US opens, we're going to go down a little bit further. I think this green scenario, the direct bullish scenario, is fairly invalidated. The red scenario, though, which is an A to the downside, a B to the upside, we saw that, and then a C to the downside, which usually goes lower than the A, right? So right now we're at the level of A. That's where we kind of got stopped right now. That's the resistance level. But that C wave, until it's completed, could bring us further down. And it could unfold in this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 setup. And right now we're in the third wave of it, right? So it looks a little bit messy here on my chart. I excuse me for that. But there's a lot going on, and it's fairly difficult right now to make sense of things. But if you look at the red scenario here, it does look feasible. It's a wave 1 to the downside from this level here. Then we pulled back over the weekend into this target range here. We briefly touched the 0.5 for this pullback. And now we're going to go down again to further test support levels in this third wave to the downside. And third waves, as we all know, are impulsive, which is currently definitely the case, because that red candle, that happened while I was asleep, is definitely a big fucker. Like I don't know. This one doesn't look too good. RSI is right now gonna retest the 30, which is usually the zone where the bulls should step in to buy. But we've also seen the RSI go as low as 18 recently during the 10th of October crash. So it's never a foolproof indicator to say, okay, once RSI hit 30, we go up. But in a market that is indecisive with no clear catalyst for downside pressure as of right now, where it's like, okay, why are we going down? I don't know. Then this 30 RSI can provide support, plus the support levels here. So we should right now definitely see a little bit of support. But, the Simon support line is gone. At least we might break over it again quickly. That would be the best case scenario. But we definitely broke down now. We can't really argue with that. With 4-hour candle closes below it already. So I think, right now it looks like we're going to go a little bit low here in this third wave. The RSI is going to go briefly below 30. We're then going to print a fourth wave to the upside, which might retest the Simon support line. So basically climbing up to $100. And then from there, we're going to do one more low, finishing the 5-wave count to the downside and finishing the ABC as well. And then from there, we should expect some upside momentum, but we need to talk about that next time, sir.
Yeah. Well, the markets are looking very uncertain right now. Could be going up, could be going down. But of course, on this podcast, we talk about the fundamentals of the chain, and the fundamentals of the chain remain unchanged. There are things out there in the world, whether it be tariffs or big scary orange men meeting with Winnie the Poohs of the world. But we can't control that. What we can control is what we do on chain. And speaking of which, there's this really big piece of news. Everyone's talking about GSOL, which is the grayscale ETF, but I feel like not enough people are talking about BSOL, which is another exchange traded product that was released last week, and we saw record breaking inflows into an ETF this year. It is actually the most amount of money, as I understand it, put into an ETF in 2025, into a brand spanking $417 million being invested on chain, through the BSOL ETF. So what do you make of this news, Simon?
I mean, what should I say? It's definitely pretty bullish. How do we get so much demand for an ETF in an environment where crypto remains fairly under the radar for normal folks? Like we're not in a hype phase right now. Just like you saw the charts, right? It's not like we did a huge green candle in the past 2 weeks, which usually like that happened before the cycle. It didn't happen. We never had a hyperbolic pump to the upside. So that makes me question why we get so much inflows. I mean, I'm not sad about it. It is great news, right? I think times are very different now. I think the money is really coming from more sophisticated investors and from institutions that are able to tap into digital assets now that they couldn't do before. And they don't care about Solana being at $170 or $150 or $130 or $250. They just want to chip in, right? And they've been waiting on the sidelines since a while and they couldn't buy. So I think that's what's happening. Plus what I told you last time, ETH ETF, basically capital flowing into Sol. I'd love some data on that, by the way. We should probably do some research if we can detect outflows from ETF on Ethereum and inflows on Solana in a certain time period. Difficult to accurately track, but that is another scenario why this could happen. But yeah, I think we're being adopted a bit wider, and that's where the inflows are coming from. Good news for Solana. More inflows, more buying pressure, stable prices.
At the prices that we're playing at, we obviously need more people to jump in, and retail's not tapped out just yet, but we certainly are not, as Simon put it, in a hype cycle. And so if you're an institution and you're seeing that the SOL price has breached the Simon support line, I am telling you today that there's never been a better time to buy. Not financial advice. Moving on to our next piece of news. We had an absolutely monster Q3 in Solana world. And of course, we've reported on many of these topics, so this is not going to be news to our long-term listeners, but just to rattle off a couple of stats that I think are quite impressive. JupiterLend has ended Q3 with over $720 million worth of deposits. DeFi in general on Solana has grown to $11 billion, a 33% quarter-on-quarter growth. Of course, we have stable coin growth as well. Our total market cap now exceeds $14 billion. Simon, I remember a time when stablecoins on Solana were less than $2 billion in total market cap. And so $14 billion is a huge increase in the total amount of stablecoins on chain. Of course, Forward Industries, the biggest DAT in the land, raised $1.6 billion to be deployed into Solana. They hold currently about 19 million SOL. Absolutely incredible. RWAs also grew quarter on quarter, 42%. And that's not 42% of a small number. That's 42% of a big number. Now we have over $680 million worth of capital deployed into RWAs and many more updates in the ecosystem. Of course, huge raises from the Titan Exchange team as well as Bulk Trade, both respectively, getting 7-figure raises, $7-8 million respectively. I mean, it's just been an absolutely monster quarter. I mean, this is an incomplete map of the Solana ecosystem. As you can see, there are more and more projects being added to this map as we speak. How do you feel, Simon? How do you feel about the state of Solana, the fundamentals, as it were?
So I have a nuanced take on this, probably because I'm trying to live close to reality. And it's that is definitely an advice I can give to everyone who's in crypto. Don't lose it. Don't lose your shit, because we're in this bubble and everything looks great. What we see on Twitter is our reality, right? But Twitter is highly, like, it's an echo chamber, right? I don't know if you remember, but it is. I forget it sometimes. I scroll through the timeline. I'm like, oh, this is live. It's not. So, like, everyone is talking about the same shit, including the two of us here. We're probably also highly biased because we're living in that echo chamber. So I'm trying to peek out once in a while. Did you get what I mean? You know, like, do you?
I hear what you mean. We talk about ETFs every single week, and we've been doing that for like the last 2.5 months. DATs have also been a hot topic of conversation for us. Like, yes, we very much live in an echo chamber where we're celebrating what to us feels like monumental milestones, but to the outside world might feel, well, so what?
And also think about it, like, how does Twitter inherently function, right? Like, everyone who posts on Twitter usually has some sort of agenda. So we all want to grow our brands. We want to get more attention on what we're doing, right? Like, we do it. It is fun, right? It's a game, and we like to play games as human as long as they're fun for us, right? And sometimes games can also be challenging and difficult and stressful, but you still play them because you expect a positive outcome, and that is your carrot, right? That you're on the stick that you're working towards. So where I'm going with this, think about the motivations behind everything that we see on Twitter, which is usually celebrate every win you have, right? And pump the bags of whatever holdings you have, and like be kind of extremely extremely set in a certain direction, positive or negative. But it's extremes usually. Extreme opinions work very well in attention markets nowadays. And we do that. Like, everyone is doing that. That's what I'm saying. Is like, sometimes you need to take a step back probably and think, is Solana, like, is everything really going up into the right? Because right now, for example, prices are not reflecting that. I do think that crypto right now in the broader society is still very underrated. Did you watch the latest South Park episode? Did you see the little clip? If you haven't seen
talking about Polymarket, or are you referring to something else? No.
Yep. Okay, then check the Soul Brothers Instagram story. That's where you will find it. Actually, because I reposted this one. There was a South Park episode, and basically what they did was simply, they took every cliche from crypto kind of pump.fun trenches, and they literally just made a little clip about that, and we're like, I don't know South Park, so I don't know the names of the guys. So otherwise, I could just watch it. But my point is that this is how mainstream media is looking at crypto. It's like, pump and dump schemes, and you extract everything, and you just need to, like, they made fun of that, right, of that part of crypto. But at the same time, we have Tolly and Raj ringing the opening or closing bell, or both, at the New York Stock Exchange. Because Solana is being broadly institutionalized and adopted, right? So there's like, I think that the broader market and the mainstream is still fairly uneducated about the potential of crypto and where this can lead.
Yeah. So I think that this is just true, right? Like, every technology goes through a cycle, or multiple cycles, right? And even Bitcoin, you'll remember, like, in 2009, 2012, it was really considered a criminal asset, right? Like, if you remember with the news articles and the feeling at the time, like, store of value wasn't even a real narrative, right? Like, store of value and digital gold only really became a thing with Michael Saylor and his advocacy for Bitcoin. And now, you have institutions all over the world and folks who really see Bitcoin as digital gold, but that's been a multi-year process. And the mainstream media is always going to be like, we are the avant-garde, right? And like, I watch, and I go to a lot of museums, and, I look at the avant-garde art, and a lot of the times my feeling is I don't get it, right? Like, I don't understand the value, but the whole philosophy of the avant-garde and like why we need it is because these are the people that push the edges, right? That make it more permissible to do things that in the past would be considered a little bit weird. And to be fair, a lot of the stuff that we do on Solana is fucking weird. Like Futarchy. I mean, come on, man. I mean, I find it quite fascinating and very interesting. Same with Soelian governance. I find it interesting and fascinating, but it's going to take a long time before normal folks take it seriously. It's a real consumer. And also, we're really behind on consumer adoption, like just UI UX, right? Like making it very easy for folks to use. Like even funding a wallet now, you have to have gas. I mean, that is still a huge mental hurdle for most folks. So anywho, this is just a very long-winded way of saying that, like, yes, we are very early. I agree that the narratives around crypto are not very favorable to us. But as long as we keep doing what we're doing, I don't see any reason why that can't change in 3 to 5 years.
That is absolutely right. Yeah. We're just gonna, and we're seeing also light at the end of the tunnel, right? We're seeing a lot of successes. Again, like the fact that Solana is being fairly accepted now and has a record-breaking ETF inflow for the ETF. It's like, that's very good science, right? I just want to make sure that sometimes we take a little reality check and understand that, not everything is flowers and roses. There's still a lot of work to do. Job's not done. But with that being said, what else are we looking at? What else is
I mean,
new
speaking of real world use cases that will really change people's minds about crypto. Maybe Futarchy is a little bit difficult for you to understand. Maybe you understand how capital accrues through internet capital markets and how that changes the lives of people in West Bengal. But everybody can understand stablecoin metrics. So this next metric that we have is that stablecoin user base in Solana is at an all-time high. We have 5 million unique addresses that are using Solana for their stablecoin transfers. Internet payments on chain are a real thing. They are probably the one use case that anybody from Nigeria all the way to Argentina can understand, right? You might not understand how perps work. You might not understand how a liquidity pool works, but you certainly will understand, holy shit, I can now own US dollars on chain. My bank doesn't allow me to have more than $500 because of capital controls in my country. They want me to keep it in my dog shit fiat, whether it's Naira or the peso. But over here now, you can use stablecoins as a great store of value and exchange it between folks, even in your own country or to people abroad. So we're also proud Solana stablecoin users. I think we're 5 million is peanuts. Like like that's nothing in the grand scheme of things. I'll get excited when I start to see 500 million, 600 million unique addresses that are using Solana for stablecoin transfers, and I do think that future is coming.
Yep. And it's so easy to understand, right? It is so easy to understand. Like the use case of payments with, like that is I think we talked about this before. And I just came back from Serbia as well, where I met some of our Soulflare friends, and I actually touched the Soulflare card, I touched it. I had it in my hand, the real one. Not mine. Unfortunately, they didn't have one for me yet. I was actually mad at that. But I had one in my hand. And that's payments directly out of your wallet. In stablecoins. I put USDC on my Soulflare, I take the card, I shop around, I can use it everywhere. And you can do that. Like you can live in Korea, wherever the fuck you want to live in this world, and I can send you stablecoins to your wallet because you do some, gig for me. Maybe you designed a funny picture for me and I send you $20 for it, and then you can pay it directly. And all this, the whole user flow in like 5 minutes. Right.
Yeah.
And even micropayments. Like I can pay you for $2 if you only did a AI thumbnail for me. I'd send you the $2, like because there's no fee involved, right? In between, even from Europe to Korea. So payments, I get it. I think everyone gets it.
Yeah, that's something that's super easy to understand. Transactions on Solana are not only basically instant, but also sub penny, right? You're barely paying any money for a transfer. And another thing that I think cards help people understand is the value of self-custody, right? Without a debit or a credit card, it's kind of like, okay, I have stablecoins in a wallet and it's self-custody, so what? Well, my friend, it means that you have a functional bank account now, right? Because that's one of the main payment flows that people use. They hold their store of value in their bank accounts and they spend it using a credit or a debit card, right? But the problem is in the real world is depending on how the bank feels about whatever it is that you're doing on your account, they might be able to shut you down. But with the Soulflare card, which is, as to my knowledge, the only self-custody debit card on Solana, you basically have a credit card, as long as you don't lose the private keys, you have a wallet or a bank account that will never be able to be shut down by any centralized authority. Certainly Visa or MasterCard can decide to cancel your credit card or debit card, but they won't do that because they want you to keep spending. So obviously, self-custody, debit, and credit cards are the future. And speaking of which, Simon, we have some other updates about the future. Q3 was a monster quarter for perps dexes. We have all-time high in volume. So we're looking at Jupiter, $726 million in perps volume. That growth was quite modest, only about 7.5% increase quarter on quarter. Drift had a monster quarter, bro. They over 250% increase in perps volume. That's $465 million worth of perps. Pacifica, I've never heard of these fuckers before. Do you know who Pacifica is?
I have no idea. I saw the picture and I was like, I suppose that it might be some middleware. Pacifica, Solana. Let me find that out.
Maybe it's quite surprising. But Pacifica is a player that seemingly came out of nowhere, and they have claimed the third place spot. Our friends over at Flash Trade have also experienced a 126% increase in Q3 for their perps. So that's huge. That's $24 million worth of perps on chain for Flash Trade. So yeah, that's huge news for our friends over at Flash Trade. Have you figured out? Nick, could you share Simon's screen? Would love to see what the hell Pacifica. What is Pacifica, Simon?
I think it's the way I understand it, but let's take a look at it. It is something in between DEX and SX. So I think they are on mainnet, but they're in a closed beta. They do have perps trading leverage up to 50x, which is competitive, I would say. I guess they have quite some assets as well on there. So yeah, I think I haven't heard about it because they haven't been very loud on Twitter, I feel. Especially, I guess, because it's an invite-only closed beta. So I'm pretty sure that I couldn't... Can I? Okay, maybe it's open now. I think you can access it. But yeah, so I think they are not yet another of these exchanges that are trying to make a dent at Solana by competing with the likes of Hyperliquid. But yeah, definitely interesting that we haven't heard of them, right? Like, yeah, this is. Yeah.
I feel like we make it our business to know everything that's going on chain, and I'm just very surprised that I've never heard of these folks. Bill, who are the people behind Pacifica? I don't know any of the people behind Pacifica either. I'm very curious to see who these folks are. Zod, Trend is friend, TA and sentiment autist, vibing with friends and family. You, sir, have earned a follow. Yeah, I do.
These guys question. They are ex-FTX similar to Backpack, I think. COO of FTX, co-CEO of FTX Digital Markets, Rise Labs, Credit Suisse.
Oh, I actually do know Constance. I mean, not personally, but by reputation. I've heard of her before. So that's definitely interesting. I will want to learn more about what they're doing over at Pacifica. But yeah, Constance is one of those folks who got caught up in, well, because she was in a leadership position over at FTX, she got caught up in a lot of stuff. But once the facts came out, seems like she was very much in the dark. But she's working on a new perps dex on Solana, and they have done $400 million in volume just this quarter, which is fucking nuts. So congrats to our friends over at Pacifica. Welcome to the arena. So Simon, I pride this podcast on being very early to a couple of things. Do you remember when we covered Goatius Maximus for the first time? It was like the first AI agent coin. Yeah. And we were both kind of like, what the fuck is this? Right. And after Goatius Maximus was like a tidal wave of AI projects and AI narratives and AI tokens that all got killed by Trump. But not Trump specifically, but the Trump token kind of sucked out all the liquidity from that narrative. And another thing that I think that we were quite early on, that people are, it's all over the timeline now. I don't know whether it's just because we covered it or or I liked a couple of posts. But X402 is now a big topic of conversation. We have a X402 Solana Hackathon, hosted obviously by the Solana Foundation. There are $50,000 in prizes available across 5 different tracks. And we have a bunch of different folks who are sponsoring this initiative, including Solana Foundation, Coinbase, Phantom, Merit Systems, Corbits, shout out to Pontus, Crossmint, Pay AI, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of folks who want to see X402 standard become a thing on Solana. I'm very excited for this tech, actually. What was your impression when you were interviewing Pontus?
It was extremely interesting, honestly, because it makes the internet more usable. That's it. Like, it is an internet, it's an internet improvement technology, which is essentially what we all need all the time, right? And I think you can build a lot of interesting things on top of this, because you have seamless API calls with no friction in between, no subscription you need. You literally pay as you go, right? Pay as you go for API calls, with micropayments on Solana. Very easy to set up, no API keys needed. It saves devs a lot of time. So I think it's definitely that's also why it gets a lot of mindshare right now, because the use case makes sense, right? Sometimes it's as simple as that. Just do something where people kind of be like, yeah, hey, that makes sense. That's cool. I get that. Everyone who has an API and who issues an API can use X402.
So hopefully what we'll see with X402 is a broadening of the usage of other people's protocols. It's much easier just to be able to, without any API keys, send stablecoin payments through an API call and immediately get the data that you need. Maybe that'll pave the way for a future in which I don't have to pay for a New York Times subscription or an Economist subscription. I can just pay for the article directly with just a single wallet that I fund for all subscription payments. That would be amazing. But for this hackathon, there are actually 5 different tracks. I don't know why they said 4. But there are 5 tracks, each with $10,000 each, totaling $5,000 in prizes in total. We have trustless agent implementation, X402 API integrations, MCP servers, model context protocols are essentially APIs, but for AI agents, X402 developer tools, and X402 agent applications. So if you're building anything in the X402 world, or you're looking to change the nature of internet payments, you should definitely check out this hackathon. So yeah, I don't know. I love that Solana is always on top of the... I hate to call them narratives, because I feel like narratives is a little too reductive, but I do like that Solana seems to be always on top of whatever the latest technology.
Upgrades.
Yes, yeah. I like that. Tech upgrades.
Yeah, everything that's new and exciting, Solana's usually on top of that. Where can people learn more about X402? Well, fairly easy. Just head over to youtube.com/@SolBrothersPod, because we did an episode with Corbits, with Potus, and you can actually get a really good deep dive on what X402 is and what his vision for it is as well, and so on. So we do have a little clip on our YouTube. So make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well and check out the bit on X402. The next one on our agenda is an interesting one, and let's hear it. Before I give further comments.
Well, yeah, no, obviously it's very well known that I myself am a huge Pump hater. I feel like Simon is much more neutral with his feelings towards Pump. Reasonable is probably the word that I would use, but I, for have a very long time, have been shitting on the PumpFun team because I find them to be very misaligned with the larger Solana ecosystem. However, they have a brand spanking new update. It's called Welcome to Spotlight, a new era for internet capital markets. And essentially what it is a push by the PumpFun team to better align themselves with the Solana ecosystem. So what this means is that they're going to be using some of the money that they have to fund different initiatives on Solana. They've earned about $850 million worth of fees in their time that they've been building. In 2025, obviously, they've had rocket ship growth. And they say that Pump.Fund's main goal is to create wealth effects within its own ecosystem by helping to tokenize the world's highest potential opportunities. So I'm not so sure if you buy what they're saying here, or if you think that they're just blowing smoke up the ecosystem's ass. What is your kind of take after reading all this?
Yeah, I think they get it, that they have to do something because memes are, they were back then the perfect thing to do at that moment. That is the secret why Pump.fun went big, right? Because they kind of they almost initiated the trend, right? They're not only jumped on a trend, they are the creators of the meme trend, really, right? By building a technology that was back then, fairly needed, right? So yeah, that's that. Then after this, they kind of lost a little bit of their attraction and mind share because obviously all the negatives around meme trading came up. And now PumpFun, heavily backed, huge brand, serious company, they sit in their office and they're like, all right, what's next? Like, what do we do with all this? Like, we gotta build a real business now. So that's what they're doing. I think they're trying to be a bit more professional. I can't really use that word together with PumpFun, but it is what it is. I think they're trying to be a bit more professional and serious, and they are positioning themselves as the centerpiece of internet capital markets on Solana, which is smart marketing-wise to do that. And yeah, with Spotlight, I think they are trying to really double down on the fact that there is a lot of projects and people, including myself, that are interested in the technology behind PumpFun and the possibilities you have with it to bootstrap tokens, but they don't want to do memes. They want to do serious projects. And I know a few founders that did that on traditional PumpFun, bootstrapping their utility token. And it works. Why? Because you do have distribution. Everyone is there, right? Like, you do have the platform that helps. That is the killer feature they have, honestly, is the tech is working. That's great. But I can build the tech by now, right? I can probably do it in a week to kind of copy paste PumpFun setup tech-wise. But what I can't build is distribution and awareness and attention. And they have all of that. So if they leverage this to create some banger projects and tokens that actually have some substance, I think it's fairly good for everyone involved. That's my take.
Yeah. I'll believe it when I see it. They were supposed to be building the TikTok, Instagram killer, and now the narrative has changed to they're building ICM. They certainly can do both, but I don't see them doing the other. One thing that I won't put past the PumpFun team is I think that they're very intelligent, obviously, right? And they understand how narratives work. And so they need something to build towards, and it's okay for founders to pivot. Maybe that's what's happened here. But I absorbed this news with great caution. Right, too many red flags around the PumpFun team, including fudding a beloved ecosystem project Bonk with tens of thousands of dollars to influencers, if not actually in total, probably hundreds of thousands of dollars to influencers to fund a project they didn't like. So I find them to be very sharky. I think that they are very good at constructing a narrative. And I'm cautiously optimistic that what they're talking about is actually a reality, but I doubt it. That's just me.
Yeah. The ticker is Solbros.
Ticker is Solbros, now launching on PumpFun near you. Just kidding. So we had some really fun news over the weekend. If you've been paying attention to the timeline, you'll notice that the New York Stock Exchange is a frequent guest of the Solana Crypto Twitter universe. And there's DFDV, when they launched, they had a huge launch party in New York. Also, Forward Industries, when they launched, they took over Times Square. Now, for the last couple of weeks, we've had Solana Store over in Wall Street with huge billboards linking people to whysolana.com so that retail and financial wizards alike can both understand the Solana thesis. And this is a huge one. BSOL, with their listing of the ETF on the New York Stock Exchange, also got to close. They have a closing bell ceremony every single day where companies can join in, and you'll see several familiar faces, pumping their fist, very, very Trump style. We of course have Toli, smack dab in the middle, and his co-founder Raj, who got to ring the closing bell for the New York Stock Exchange. So that was obviously a huge, thing.
How do you get there? Like, how do you make it there? Is all you have to do launch an ETF? I guess so.
Well, yeah, I mean, so it's very simple. You can see Kyle Samani here, and I forget who exactly is the Bitwise. Is that the Bitwise gentleman? I have no idea. But you know,
Probably
if you have
I guess. Yeah.
people in high places, they will invite you to come, you know, do the closing bell. Obviously, you can see Akshay over here. Everyone's clapping like they're in North Korea.
So funny. This scene is very funny, like cramped into this little space upstairs. And
Yeah.
everyone is just like in a loop of clapping.
Yeah. But obviously, I am very, very happy and proud of the entire Solana team. I loved the interview that Toli gave. I don't know if it was before or after the closing bell, but he's all like, yeah, it's fucking wild that a staking protocol that I coded, you know, is now ringing the bell in the New York Stock Exchange. I don't think people understand just how quickly Solana has risen in the world. I mean, this I mean, they've been thinking about it and talking about it, I think, since 2017, 2018. And then, you know, a lot of stuff happened between 2020 and 2022. Kind of a couple of dead years in 2023 and early 2024. And then now you're seeing just like this rocket ship growth. I mean, from start to finish, this company is only like 5 years old, or 7 years old, which in the grand scheme of things is a very short amount of time. So they've been able to accomplish so much. And speaking of the, you know, history of Solana, there's this really cool graphic that the ANZA team put together that shows the developers that were working on Solana from start to finish. So you can see the first validator client, Agave, Toli, and all his commits. I'm pretty sure that these are this count on the left hand side are like all the commits that they've made over time. You can see Toli's PFP just zooming around here. I love this graphic, and now you can see the Solana network is absolutely exploding in 2019, and very soon you're going to see 2020, which is going to be another flurry of activity as FTX and SBF and the whole crew were investing in Solana ecosystem projects, and we have much more than 69 developers. Now it's 2021. You're seeing graphics of 2022 and more explosions of growth throughout the ecosystem. Just to sight to behold just how big the Solana has become over the years.
It's it is magical, huh? A really good job, ANZA, for visualizing that. Must have been a fun project to build that, actually. The visualization and everything, the algo behind it. It looks really cool. This is becoming a really dense ecosystem, you know, like we're fucking loaded now. And this graph gives us visual feedback to that fact. It's a living organism, and we're expanding quickly. And I think I'd love to see the next 10 years of this. Because again, like you said, we're early, right? Like people don't like they underestimate how quickly Solana has risen from being nothing, right? And 2021 was basically nothing for Solana. Like there was, you know, not a lot going on just after launch, really, in 2020. And then we also got the huge setback with FTX. But actually, I think that was one of the reasons why we accelerated so much, because we came out of this successfully. So yeah, let's see another. Let's start with another 5 years of Solana to see what's happening, because I think we're growing exponentially now.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of the reason why we do this podcast, right? We believe that we're very early. And if we do our jobs right, 5 years from now, building on Solana is going to feel like just building in San Francisco. Where do you go when you want to build performant applications and build billion-dollar businesses? It's going to be on Solana. So Solana will just be synonymous with consumer crypto. And speaking of consumer crypto, one of the OGs in the space, our sponsors, Soulflare, are also a sponsor of Breakpoint 2025 in Abu Dhabi. It's going to be an absolutely stellar time. Lots of fun. I like the tweet. Solana is in their name and in their DNA. For most of you, who are aware of the Solana ecosystem, what makes Soulflare so special is that they're committed to building only on Solana, which I believe is a prerequisite if you want to build a performant wallet that is best in class for this chain. They are making a huge bet that developing in other ecosystems is just a waste of fucking time, because they believe what we believe, which is that Solana is the future and it is where the most performant consumer tech will be built. How do you feel about this Soulflare sponsorship, Simon?
I wanna correct you there as well, because they're not just a sponsor.
Are they the title sponsor?
Yeah, they're the headline sponsor of Breakpoint. So they are the sponsor, not a sponsor.
Oh,
of
wow.
the whole of Solana's biggest conference. So how should I put it? I think how more obvious can it be how Solana aligned this company is. They are showing up at every Solana event. They are highly active in all Solana communities, including super teams, all stars, everything. Plus, they are headline sponsoring Breakpoint. So I think they do a lot of good for the Solana ecosystem. Kind of opposite of PumpFun. So if you're asking yourself, how can I make like myself? This is how you do it. Just contribute to this ecosystem, and this man's gonna give you respect. Literally opposite of Pump.
Yeah, maybe don't pay $20,000 per week for influencers to FUD another project, because I mean that's some pushy shit, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you want to win, if you want to win, beat them on product, right? Like, are you really going to start paying influencers to talk shit about another ecosystem project? That just feels like a bitch ass move. But anywho,
bitch ass move.
It is a bitch ass move. So I would love to poke fun at Simon just a little bit, because he said he got a little mad over in Bulgaria because he got his hands on a very sexy Soulflare card, but was not able to get his own. So you want to tell us more about the Soulflare card, Simon? We talk about it every week, but it is one of the sexiest products that are now live on Solana.
I mean, we can always give you the alpha, right? And the insights. We can basically tell you the things that Soulflare can't tell you, because we don't give a shit. Actually, we do. We need to be a bit careful, I guess. Anyway, long story short, we know that for a fact that the $100,000 USDC incentive campaign is coming to an end, and it could be any day. I don't have an exact date in mind, but I do know that it could be any day from now on. That means that if you haven't signed up to Soulflare card yet and you want to take part in the $100,000 raffle, then you might want to head over to waitlist.soulflare.com/solbrothers to sign up. KYC your account. Just create a sub account in your Soulflare wallet. Use that account to sign up to the waitlist, because that will be your card account. And then you create like a dedicated account for your card. I think that makes more sense, just process-wise for organization. And use our link, the /solbrothers, to get a little points boost, because if you sign up and you KYC your wallet, then you will access the raffle and you can win a part of the 100,000 USDC. Only until the campaign finishes, because once this finishes, we're going to enter stage 2 of Soulflare card campaign, and I believe that orders might start in stage 2. And that will be very soon. Yeah.
Little bit of alpha there. Stage 2 Soulflare campaign. And speaking campaigns, there is yet another campaign by our friends over at SNS. We did cover this last Thursday, but I do think it's worth mentioning again, because honestly, the Seeker phone, I'm now bullish on Solana phones. Before I was not that big of a fan, but currently SNS, they have a campaign where if you own a Seeker phone, you can now claim a free 10-character or more domain. So you get a free .sol identity with the purchase of each Seeker phone. Not only are the phones really, really fun to use, I heard the camera quality has increased quite a bit, but it comes with all kinds of perks, including your own free 10-character plus domain from the SNS team. Own your own identity.
Cool. I still need to get my hands on my Seeker. It's literally since 3-4 months it's been sitting in Germany. And I haven't.
That's like the one downside of being Simon, is that his Seeker phone is in Germany. His SNS domain is sitting in there. His iPhones are in Korea. That's a long story. His Soulflare cards are over in Croatia, Serbia. He's bearish on Simon getting his stuff.
That's why I hate physical things, because they always get lost and they're stuck somewhere and they sucks. Everything needs to be digital, because digital can move at the speed of light. That's why I like Solana.
I mean, like, I think that one of the antidotes to materialism is to travel for a living. If you travel as much as Simon and I do, you'll just realize that owning stuff is, it's just a huge fucking pain in the ass. In fact, most of the folks that I know that have transitioned to full-time crypto, at least from the US, have their stuff in storage units, right? They just rent out like a storage plus container, and they just put all their shit in it. I even had one gentleman who came back home to find that he had 20 parking tickets on his car because he didn't move it for like a month.
I have a story like that. I have started that. So it is like Mino said, it can be a burden. And think about it, like you need to get a storage and pay it monthly only because you have shit flying around somewhere. How inefficient can life be? Like it's I don't know, the concept doesn't really make sense to me.
I mean, Simon is living in a fucking Airbnb right now. That's not true. But like, you look at all the stuff inside that apartment, like it technically belongs to Simon, but not really. that
really.
Shit was already there.
That's actually right. Yeah, I never really did that.
Another update we have, obviously, Flash Trade, as we mentioned before, they had a monster quarter where they are the fourth biggest protocol on Solana by volume for perps trades, $25 million in volume this quarter. Absolutely fantastic. And it's going to be even more glorious. They have less than 50 millisecond block times, gasless trading, over 50,000 transactions per second, fully permissionless execution, no bridges, no fragmented liquidity. So yeah. They are working with Magic Block to make that all happen. IBRL, that's only possible on Solana.
Magic Block's some insane tech as well. I think I have heard a little bit of it. I mean, I knew already what they're doing. Building kind of a roll-up style technology that enhances Solana as you know it, while still settling on the main chain. I'm still a noob on Magic Block. I haven't did the deep dives yet, but I've talked to a few people that understand it. And it does provide really interesting edge when it comes to latency, bandwidth, speed over Solana for use cases like high frequency trading, which is right now still not really a thing on Solana. I also heard a few voices that it sounds better than it is right now, Magic Block. Like the idea is great, but it's not a battle test technology at all, and it's also not really there yet. So I think we probably still need 1 or 2 more years to actually see this evolving. But I think there's huge potential in, for example, applying Magic Block technology to things like Flash Trade to enable super high frequency trading, which is still, on chain is just difficult because there is always a latency involved from opening a trade to settling it on Solana. And if you want to do micro trades every 5 milliseconds with algorithms or something, you can't really do that. Right? It doesn't work at all. But I think we can get there. So really interesting to see more of that. And Flash Trade is working on a bunch of shit. Not only that, but the broader topic or the broader keyword here is Margin Engine V2, which is something we are all looking forward to. Potentially Q1 2026, I think, when we see some major upgrades of Flash Trade.
Yeah. They're speaking of upgrades to Flash Trade. They just listed a new asset to FLP1, ZEC. If I'm not mistaken, that is Zcash. So they've added Zcash to FLP.1, which is the highest performing crypto index on Solana as of now. You can trade up to 50x leverage on Zcash. Yeah, I mean, I can vouch for that. I mean, it's not always going to stay this way. What I mean by this is that, like, as you have more capital going into a very high performing asset, it'll compress the yields. And the reason for that is because all that sweet yield is now being distributed across more players. A case in point for this is that you can get, I think it's like 500% yield on loop scale by looping. Is it FAF or is it FOP?
No, it was FLP2. I think it was FLP2.
Yeah. There's Stables Pool. Yeah. So like you can get like 500% yield on FLP2 looped on loop scale. The catch there is that it's capped at $500,000 the last time I checked. So what that means is that if you had, let's say, $50 million as opposed to $500,000 in that same pool, obviously you would not be able to scratch out, maybe 10% yield, let alone, 500% yield. But anywho, Flash Trade is doing wonderful things. As they climb up the rankings for perpetuals exchanges, they will also be earning more fees for FAF token holders and for other FOP token holders. It's all going to be good news for anybody that's holding those tokens. So not financial advice, but we are big fans of Flash Trade. Otherwise, we wouldn't be working with them.
Yep. What do you think about the Zcash thing, by the way? Do you have any opinion on this? Like, because they haven't been on our Mindshare timeline a month ago. Now they're like all over the place, basically because Merch started to tweet about it. And for me, it was always like Monero, one of these projects that was cool 2020 or 2018 or something, like long time ago. And since then they kind of disappeared. So it's an OG project still around Zcash, but it was, it was kind of nowhere. And now we have Mert tweeting about it. We have Mert launching a hackathon about Zcash products. We have Tolly in the jury of that hackathon. Like there's a lot of things happening around Zcash. I don't really understand it.
I think that, first of all, you can't have serious capital using Zcash, right? And the reason why you can't have serious capital using Zcash is because every transaction has to be accounted for if you're a business, right? You need to do the proper accounting for where all that money went. And so I do find that to be a problem. In terms of adoption, I don't have an issue with the privacy angle. I'm just saying that in terms of larger institutional adoption, privacy that hides your transactions from governments is generally not going to be welcomed by the centralized authorities. In terms of retail transactions, I think it's totally fine. And there's a huge use case there, obviously. If I want to send, money to somebody for drugs, I guess, then I would want that to be private. But all jokes aside, private citizens do have the right, and I'm not saying companies do, but at least private citizens have the right to transact privately. And you can do that with cash, which is kind of the only way you can do it right now. All your other transactions are being monitored by financial authorities and the regulators that make the rules. So I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
I always thought that pseudo anonymity is also okay in crypto because that's the beauty of blockchains. They are transparent, inherently transparent, but they're also private at the same time because you're not revealing your identity, right? Like you can transact, maybe I have a wallet that I do whatever the fuck with, but no one knows because they don't know that's my wallet. It's very easy.
Yeah.
Right? It's very, so as long as you don't dox your wallet, that's my point, right? As long as you have, and you can spin up a new wallet anytime. And as long as you don't dox it, and sure, you can track a lot of stuff right around, blah, blah, blah. But then again, it's not that difficult to, I don't know, send your USDC to Binance and then from Binance to a new wallet, and then that new wallet is basically gonna be undoxed again, right? Because Binance is doing transactions in a way that they batch funds together and then send them out. You cannot track that money came from your wallet into Binance and then your account in Binance because you don't have an account on chain on Binance, and then from Binance to your wallet, like you're private again. So there's like a lot of easy ways to do privacy on Solana even. That's why the whole private transactions meta is probably a topic that we can dive into in an episode where this is a theme, not like randomly right now. But I think it's fascinating how quickly Zcash just took off right now. And my conspiracy mind is like, is there any Solana kind of deal going on? Like, why is Tolly and everyone talking about Zcash right now? Like, what's their interest? What's their motivation? I don't get it.
Yeah. The reality is that unless you have really great OPSEC and good wallet hygiene, most people will inadvertently dox their wallets, right? By interacting with a wallet that they already own, or the current tools to track on-chain, like available to, like, let's say the CIA or the FBI, right, are quite sophisticated, right? Like, it would be quite hard, to conduct your normal business of the day. And I'm not talking about business, but I'm like, what you normally, like, who are you sending money to? It's all probably people who do have their wallets It's all probably people who do have their wallets doxed or have poor wallet hygiene, right? You only need 1 week chain for them to reconstruct where the money is probably coming from, right? Especially if you're like, I don't know, you send out $10,000, you send out $50,000, right? And then they might not be able to track that exact transaction, but they could track the 50,000 that someone received, right? And then their stuff is undoxed. They're a known associate of your existing wallet. So I think privacy on chain is, quite frankly, for most people, is a fiction. It doesn't really exist. But certainly for people who are super privacy minded and who never make a mistake, certainly, you could have privacy. Yeah, there's a way. But in actuality, I think it's very unrealistic.
Yeah, so Zcash just, basically makes it easier. Or projects like Umbra, they're for the normal person that wants to stay private on chain without a big hassle. I understand that. Makes sense. All right.
All right, everybody. Well, that is the Soul Brothers episode for this week. Simon, you want to give them your usual spiel?
Of course, the usual spiel. Thanks, guys, for listening to us. About Solana. Make sure to tune in again for the next episode. We are live streaming these, so you can catch us on Twitter every single Monday and Thursday when we live stream. So make sure to show up on Twitter as well on our timeline, but also please subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're pushing out content every single day these days. And we have some exciting things planned for this week as well. We have a big interview coming up midweek that we're really excited about. So you can also look forward to that. It's going to go live on Twitter as well on Wednesday, and we're going to announce it shortly before as well. Until then, you guys have a good start in the week, and we'll see you at the next one.
Adios.